by alone inside. He's got the breakaway with the touch to the right. Goal! Everything you wanted from this debut. It's Brandon by taking a shot with the left. Goal! Isaac Friend from 25 yards out. The equalizer. Will Kidd with the touch of the goal. It's a go-ahead goal. Minneapolis City.
This is the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by Summit Brewing Company.
Welcome, one and all, to the People's Pitch, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club. I am John, and I am with my booth mate from this past weekend's match, Nate Morales. Nate, thanks again for stepping in for Nordo last Saturday. How did it go from your perspective?
I had a ton of fun. I think, it
is fun, right?
I loosened up a little as I went on. Like, at first I was worried about making sure I was like calling the right names and just like getting, and then eventually you get into the groove and you can start adding some fun stuff in and getting a little more excited, and you start focusing on the action of the match and less the like technically what's happening.
Yeah, so and then remembering
that's when it really started to click for me.
And remembering there's someone sitting next to you.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to like not forget that you don't want to monopolize too much.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to organically do that in my life. Monopolize conversations.
Yeah.
So it was good, but as you can be a test to, it's not easy.
Yeah, it's harder than you think.
It's really hard, and especially when you have to do the play-by-play, because like you said, remembering names, I can't even remember my kids' names sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, you over there.
Hey.
Stop doing that thing. Anyways, it was good to have you, man.
I mean, it was awesome, man. And the best part is we pulled out that victory. So, the hits just keep coming for the Crows. We hosted the Maplebrook TwinStars, and we'll cover that. Some other things happened elsewhere in the league this past weekend that have a drastic effect on what's going on in the NPSL North Conference. So we will touch on how that affected us, and we will preview this coming weekend's matchup in Sioux Falls as we take on what can be an interesting Thunder team. Let's get after this, John.
Yes, let's do. So seeing the removal of VSLT from the North Conference for personal reasons this year, there really is only one other team for us to pit up against to create a true derby. Whether you like it or not, it's the Maplebrook TwinStars.
Yeah.
So the game in the past has always been contentious, and historically they have gone in the favor of TwinStars, but recent history has swung in favor of the Crows. So from a starting lineup perspective, you had Matt Elder in goal, Zuhir, Jonah Hoof, and Mark Haight anchoring the back line. You had Charlie Adams being inserted back into that center midfield with Max Stegward and Aiden O'Driscoll making his second start of the summer, I believe.
Yeah.
And then your upfront three was Will Kidd, Whitney Brown, and Abdallah Ba. The bench was, as such, Troy Luegi, Noah Sen, U23 call-up, Miles Norville, Aaron Olson, Siku, another U23 call-up, Eli Goldman, and Nick Hutton. One thing to note before we dive in here on the day was that our featured player to watch for the match was Nick Hutton, who had previously been on the training table for a good portion of the matches this season, but was back and ready to go. So we thought Nick picked up a knock on literally the last kick of warmups and was ruled out on the day. So once again, our player to watch, not effective.
No.
So perhaps we just stop doing that altogether.
It's, like we said, it's the Madden curse.
It totally is. Totally is.
As you said, John, the matchups between City and TwinStars have really gone back and forth the last 3 years. In year one of Minneapolis City's NPSL journey, TwinStars took all 6 points from us. And that was a year we were feeling pretty confident about what was going on. But as you've said a couple times, we just didn't understand the league, didn't understand the conference, didn't quite have the talent, and TwinStars punished us for it. On the back of some... Oh, go ahead.
We were basically built to win the PLA.
Yeah.
And we found out that that's quite a bit different than the NPSL North Conference. So we figured that out, and then we won the conference. So,
but that's when we really learned about these names that we would come to know the TwinStars by. The Oliver brothers, right? Kareem Darbaki, Chase Wright, Sean Teskey. But as the page has turned over the last couple of years. The Olivers have defected to Minneapolis City to a more organized home that fits their developmental needs and their life needs. Chase Wright has moved on to play at a higher level. He's pretty decent player.
Yeah, he's really good.
And he's going into his last season before he finishes college. So
yeah, Loyola.
Similar to how some other City players have gone on to, wherever their coaches tell them to. Chase probably did the same thing. Sean Teskey transferred to St. Thomas, and he left TwinStars. We have seen hide nor hair of him. So all really that's left is the Kareem Darbaki show. And so this new narrative this year is City has really owned the TwinStars ever since that first season. Last year, there was the technical difficulties match, the biting, the phantom weather delay, the dick stomping, the list goes on, right? This season, a little different. First game, of course, one that we won. We were in control of from the jump, but it took some late game heroics from Kevin Hoof to cement that win for us. And this match fell at this match really fell at like a crucial point in the 2019 campaign, but also kind of at a time when the pendulum does have could have the potential to swing back into the TwinStars' favor, right? But we knew this as the difference between being playoff hopefuls and being on the outside looking in.
And it was the first time that we've beaten them at the hallowed grounds of Edor Nelson Field.
Yeah, so, usually they come in and put the hurt on us a little bit.
A whole slew of guys you've never heard of before. So anyways, Nate, the NPSL North is a very young conference in the league, in the NPSL, but I would have to assume that there's not a better storyline in all of the league like there is when these two teams face off versus each other. I mean, there's bouts of good soccer, there's drama, there's always an ever-present pride that's on the line, and I love it. I mean, I love it even more now, obviously, that we've had their number, but it's and we've said it before too. Like we can make all the jokes about, all the theatrics and all the gamesmanship, but when they get down to business and they play soccer, they're a very good club.
Yeah, and I think what's funny is both of us being on the call, being involved in a lot more in-game conversations. We usually don't get a chance to chat as the action goes on unless we happen to be at the same away game. But I would say this game is one where the surprises fell towards on the positive side for the TwinStars. We were positively surprised by a number of players and a lot of their play in particular, but we'll get to that in a bit. So like I said, you and I have already talked about this game quite extensively in person. Both teams came out of the gate really strong. The TwinStars, they utilized this 5-3-2. You noted that that's pretty much their default formation.
Yeah.
This time, of note for that is Kareem Darbaki was deployed as the deep midfielder, sort of a more defensive, like you said, shading the 5-man back line to add a little. I don't know if his purpose was to add a little spark out of the back or what, but it was a very interesting place for him, given that he is always super dangerous in a more advanced role. And then with City playing in its 4-3-3 formation, ideally what TwinStars playing in that 5-3-3-2 would do is spring those wing backs to add to the attack, but that really didn't pan out, as the real battle on Saturday ended up getting fought in the midfield, where City and TwinStars traded possession early.
It was interesting, and as it was noted on the call, TwinStars basically decided to deploy their best player as essentially a third center back, and I don't really know why that might be, because the 5-3-2 itself is kind of set up so that Kareem doesn't have to go deep and he can be further advanced in the field and get more opportunities offensively, because he doesn't play any defense. So now you're deploying him deep and he has to play defense, and then still they gave him a ton of the ball to try to spark the offense. So when you say, though, that it was a midfield battle, I think it was one that was on the razor's edge of the TwinStars kind of final third, as a result of so many players being dropping back. So with Darbaki in that deep position, it allowed us to simply pass off our other central marks and push up so that we could, when we did win the ball, it was in kind of those more advanced positions when we pressed. However, we talked about it on the call a lot. The press itself took a bit too long, in my opinion, for City to recognize that they could do it in the first half. And I felt it caused fits for TwinStars when City actually did figure out that, oh, there's plenty of people back. It's okay to go now and press.
Right. But you're right. It did take them a while. Both teams, I think, they had their chances, especially early. But I would say that Minneapolis City was the team that looked to be a little bit more threatening, especially in that first half. A long ball right down the center to Abdallah Ba that was almost identical to the one that he scored the last time out. From Jonah to Ba, almost identical, right? I couldn't believe it. And he had scored on that same ball last time out against the TwinStars. That almost started the scoring out again, but couldn't make anything of it. Whitney took a shot, probably a little too early, as he had runners unmarked coming into the box. That shot was deflected. There was some nice interplay between Whitney and Max Stiegert that led to a nice shot and forced the keeper, Schramm Miller, into a save. Even Zakir got into the mix, right? All good chances, but in the end, they were neutralized by a really stingy TwinStars defense led by number 4, Sadie. This guy seemed to really have our number most of the game. Both of us were very impressed with this guy.
Where has this guy been?
Yeah.
I mean, they've thrown a lot of people out there, but he was fantastic. I think that out of the defenders they've deployed versus us in the past, there have been some good ones, but he was clearly the best.
Yeah.
And he was not your typical center back, as he was kind of short, but he had a great center of balance that he used quite often to stop a few City attacks. But I would agree with you, because TwinStars sat so deep, the only changes that chances that they got were long balls into a lone striker who had little to no help. And they were able to create a few half chances, but they could have been a lot more dangerous if they were in a different setup and their striker had some more support. But I obviously I'm okay with that since they didn't really create anything of danger to note up until that point.
No. And sloppy, it was really sloppy play out of the back and some bad passing decisions that you and I were lamenting that put Minneapolis City in any jeopardy at all. Number 9.
Our own problems.
Yep, definitely, as usual. Number 9, our old friend Garga Nayu, he picked Hoof's pocket, really, and he was in on goal 1-on-1. Matt Elder made a great save. He had his angle covered, and he was able to preserve that clean sheet. Luckily, the first half ended 0-0, I would say relatively calmly, without any incident or controversy or complaint from the first half as far as sportsmanship or anything like that. So I really couldn't help but wonder if we were going to see some real shenanigans kick in the second half should the game go not the TwinStars way.
I thought it was a good soccer game.
I did too. So, I mean, again, they surprised us positively, I would say, this game.
Yeah.
The second half, more of the same. It saw City sub Charlie Adams out at halftime, moving Kevin Hoof up into that defensive midfield role instead, and they added AO into the mix at center back. We mentioned it on the stream a little. Talk a bit more about that move and the different look that it gave City to start the second half and how successful AO has been and can be at center back.
Well, he's played there before, and I actually know that from talking to him, he prefers playing center back, probably because he doesn't have to go up and down the field as much. So he's probably just the lazy answer to, yeah, I'll play center back. Mm-hmm. But I think what it did was it put one of our fastest players centrally. And with that, we were able as a unit to press higher with the rest of the central players, knowing that we had speed back there to kind of help with those counterattacks as kind of the pivot point to where I think Coach Pribble on the day, because Coach Ben Benskoten wasn't there, truly made the decision we're going to go for it. And that was, I mean, I don't see it being drawn up any other way other than we're going to go for it, and here's how we're going to counter that. I do think that the other thing to note is that we saw U23 call up Noah Sen come on a little bit later in the early stages of the second half and kind of sit as that number 6 defensive center midfielder in front of the back line. And what that gave us was the ability for Stiegwart to be a bit more forward-minded. And I thought that, that Noah coming in, he did a great job of coming into his first pressure situation with the team versus the TwinStars that in the past are one that are a bit more physical. But he was tackling hard. He was composed when he got the ball. And I thought he was a great addition to the side that should be noted.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think take a look at the game film if you will. And Noah, usually late game subs, especially for call-outs or call-ups, you're losing something over the guys that are first choice, even in this case second choice, as Hoof was moved up to that position. But Noah, when he came in, fresh legs, added a little more, a little more speed to the position, right? He's able to move around too, just like Aaron Olson was able to help on the counters if he needed to, but able to press well with the team and join in the attack. So that was an interesting addition that really worked out well for City.
I think he also added in some kind of mental fortitude and being putting himself in position to get fouls drawn in his favor.
Yeah.
So playing to the aggressiveness and the sense of urgency from the TwinStars and putting his body on the line to get those calls and to really start the beginning processes of either killing the game out or getting us into a position where we were getting free kick opportunities.
So the breakthrough, John, finally came in the 80th minute through a not so familiar face, but one that had just scored in last week's friendly against Des Moines and is currently scoring tons of goals tonight.
He scored 2 goals in the U23 game tonight.
Aiden O'Driscoll, who had up to then been getting forward more and more, made a really nice run into the box. He received the ball from Whitney Brown and ran diagonally into the box from the left side. And he played a nice 1-2-3 with Eli Goldman. He laid it off to Eli. Eli put it up to him. And as Aiden O'Driscoll was about to kind of run over the back line, he was able to pass back to Eli, who, by the way, had been recently subbed in. It was probably his third or fourth touch on the game.
Which is exactly what happened against Des Moines.
I know. I couldn't believe it. So Eli takes that point-blank shot, and Schramm Miller was able to save that, who also was another bright spot for the TwinStars on the night. But the rebound bounced right back to Eli, and he hit that volley past Schramm Miller, kind of off the ground almost, into the first, and it was for the first and only goal of the game. And again, right place, right time, exact right technique for the second week in a row for Eli Goldman.
The whole play, I think, was nice, plain and simple.
Absolutely.
It was one that saw what Aiden can do not only when he has the ball, but his movement coming from that number 10 spot, which is something that I think we lost quite a bit when Samo went down injured for the year. And I know people will say, well, what about Luke Hackinson and what he did? But what Luke really was, he was just deployed as a secondary striker, not really necessarily a true number 10. Where Aiden is that true central type player, usually plays a little bit deeper, but he's a very smart player. And without his recognition that he could continue to get more advanced, we had the bodies back to cover him. It would have been more of the same lone striker play that we saw for most of the game. And then after that, the bus was gassed up and firmly parked for City. And we've talked about it in the past, the past few weeks and even into last season, is do whatever it takes to see a match out that you not only should win, but really, really need to win. And I thought, from a tactical perspective, Coach Pribble brought in Miles Norville and deployed 3 center backs. So we basically were countering the 3-5-2 or the 5-3-2 with a 5-3-2. So we were okay with conceding lumping balls forward and some brief bouts of kind of time-killing, possession-based soccer. But hey, it worked. 1-0. Yeah. I'll take it.
Yeah, and you and I got a chance to talk to Eli from the booth in the call of the game, as they call it. Is that what they call it?
It's the Palmer's Bar last call.
That's what it's called. So we did that. Let's listen in and see what Eli had to say about his first NPSL goal.
Eli. Hello? Eli, how's it going, man? You're on with John and Nate up here. Fantastic game, man.
Thank you.
Congrats on the goal. I don't know if you know the significance of that goal, but that particular goal puts City back from looking up at the table to top of the table. So it was a fantastic goal, and it was a huge goal.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Eli, congrats, man. This is Nate. So two games with Minneapolis City all of a sudden and 2 goals.
Yeah.
That seems to be your spot there, right in front of net, looking for rebounds and just lacing shots into the right corner. Talk to us a little bit about how that play developed and what happened with that goal.
I saw Aiden coming in. He played me. I saw him roll off. I played him a little too far in front, but he adjusted well and found me back. And then I missed the first one, but luckily it popped right back to me, and then I knew I had to put it away.
Awesome. So take us through a little bit. So this is your first match with the MPSL side properly. You featured against the Des Moines Wanderers in that friendly match, but you've now had about a week and a half in with the full side. Tell us about the differences of coming in last year. You were kind of a part-time training player before you went off to Barcelona. But now you're full-time in. You started out with the 23s and now you're here. Tell us a little bit about your progress.
I mean, last year I knew that I wanted to be a part of this team, so I tried to get in it, but I was a bit late, so then I just trained with them. And then I was good to go with the 23s, and it was a good start. There's a lot of good guys on the 23s, all younger college guys. And then right when they called me up, I knew I was ready to definitely play with the first team. And it's a great team. Everyone's super welcoming, and the intensity is always there in training. And then coming out here for my debut, the atmosphere is awesome, and I'm so happy I'm here now.
Awesome.
Eli, it's great to have you, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
As we mentioned, your goal puts us up to the top of the table. We need some end of season momentum here. You may be the spark plug that gives it to us. What's your approach going to be over the last couple games, last couple weeks of the season, leading into our last game, July 12th, here at home?
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep coming, keep working hard, pushing the older guys, and whenever I get the call to be on the field, I'll be ready.
Score a goal, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's all you got to do.
All right, Eli, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Hop on into that
Appreciate it.
locker room, get a couple probably not so friendly smacks on the back of the head for the debut goal, but
I think so.
Enjoy it. It was a big goal, like we said, puts us at top of the table, back where we feel we should be, and we look forward to some more goals here in the future.
Definitely. Thank you, guys.
All right,
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead.
So the season is really long for these guys, and what I mean by that is it's very compact, but it feels like it's super long for a player. And then, like, from a calendar perspective, so you have to be kidding yourself if in our league and the way it's set up that you're going to have the same players start the season that finish the season. And I say that for the top half teams seem to be, it's predicated on injury, or perhaps someone leaves for another opportunity, whether it be personal or soccer related. And then the bottom half of the league tends to be people leaving for whatever reason, being disgruntled.
Because they're done losing.
Yeah. So having players like Eli who can continue their development until that point, and once they get in with us, be able to be elevated and then produce, is a big difference maker that I think that we have that a lot of teams in our division don't have.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the roster from top to bottom for the game, there's a whole lot of guys in there that weren't getting solid minutes in the beginning of the season. Outside of your few mainstays that we've talked about in the past too.
Mm-hmm.
But what I really liked about what he said is how he mentioned that his role as being a U23 call-up is to turn up, play hard, and push the veterans who were initially on this roster from the beginning and perform when he's called upon. And his elevation along with the others on the roster, I think that's exactly what you're seeing, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah, I agree, John. I mean, it's good to know that we can add players at a time when, if other teams add them, it's like guys that might not have made the team right away. But
or like some dude off the street that's good at soccer but doesn't know how to play with the team.
We've got a hole at midfield and we need to fill it. Who's got a buddy? You know,
right. Yeah.
Like for us, it's like guys that have been hungry all season that are waiting for their chance, and when they get their chance, they're gonna take advantage of it. And you see that from Eli this week especially. So he has been scoring tonight. Tell me about that really quickly.
Yeah, so the U23s went down to Rochester and played a familiar patch of turf.
Currently, it's Wednesday night in it's podcast Wednesday. World.
Yeah, exactly. And he, as well, actually, all three players that have been called up from the U23s were in the starting lineup for that game. They're young; they can handle minutes.
Yeah.
So they won 3-2. So congratulations to Coach Handler and the mini murder, as people are calling them. But the scoring basically, it started off. Eli scored in the 20th minute and then ended up circling back on the game winner later on in the first half. So 3-0 at halftime, and then with some substitutions saw Rochester kind of take a little bit more of the play back and score 2 goals. But at the end of the day, this guy's it doesn't matter what, in the grand scheme of things, a goal scorer is a goal scorer.
Yeah.
So you either do it at a high level or you do it at, a not as high level. And not to say that the U23s or even Rochester who they played is not a high level, but if you like to see guys that are putting themselves into scoring opportunities and converting. So over the past 3 games that he's played in, he has 4 goals.
Yeah. I mean, like they mentioned these guys that just have like a nose for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've said it twice, right place, right time. Who could have predicted it? Lucky guy. But like, part of it is getting a feel
execution.
for execution and having a feel for where to be and how the play is developing and that sort of thing. So, really
Very
happy
much.
to have this guy on our team. Really happy that he's hit this kind of form this late in the season when we need him. Because as we'll talk about in a minute, things are about to get real.
Well, we kind of been missing that person, and not to slight anyone else on the roster because guys up front have been playing good soccer, but losing like a guy like Brandon McGarity, he's that type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And to see Eli come in a little bit younger, actually quite a bit younger, doing it across any platform he's put into is really great to see.
Yeah, it feels great. So
And I
John,
don't-
go ahead.
Sorry, one more thing. I don't think he's been attached to a college yet. So if any coaches out there are listening,
is he just like 19 years old?
yeah. So he
Because like you said, he took that gap year and he just came back.
Yeah, so he took a gap year and he trained and played in a development academy in Barcelona, and not the Barcelona, but in Barcelona. So obviously it wasn't anything to shake a stick at, but it wasn't the La Machina that a lot of great players that everybody knows of outside of our ecosystem were products of. But so he took that gap year and then he came back this year after that was done. And I believe he's in the hunt for school. I haven't talked to him about it. It's not really the thing that comes up whenever we see each other. But I will be interested to see what his plans are. And if he's unattached, I would be throwing all the offers at that guy.
You got a couple months. Come on, colleges.
Yeah.
John, you said the keys to victory, were make sure we bring the resources was
Yes.
number 1.
So seeing that Hutton was pulled from the match, we were already down a guy who in my mind, I think have been a game changer. He's never played against the TwinStars in his time with City. And I think he when we played him the first time, you mentioned on the call that he was just chomping at the bit in the stands. And like, he was like, oh, he was totally into it.
Yeah.
And just, you could see the wheels turning of like, if I'm in there, this is what I can do to expose these guys.
Yep.
So that stinks, but we brought an injection of youth, like we mentioned, with Noah and Eli, and those guys made it work. So I would give us a passing grade on that, but we have to bring everybody who's clicking to all of these games to end the season.
Word. The second thing you said was take points.
Well, it looks as if in that game we were on course to have a solid 1 point secured, but we were able to walk away with all 3, which is awesome. And it gave us the top spot in the conference, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a second here, going into our final 3 matches of the year. So we got all the points. So
Can't complain about that.
Check that one off the list.
And lastly, get the offense going.
Yeah, the offense did not really get going, as it looked like we were kind of stuck in second gear and just kind of doing the bare minimum for the majority of both halves, which is okay. Like you don't have to always be firing at 100%.
Yep.
But we now have seen Eli Goldman score in back-to-back games
Back to back.
Yeah, with us and then tonight. So perhaps he's the spark that we've been looking for, as opposed to trying to get others going.
Yeah, hopefully.
And maybe that unlocks some of the competitive juices of the other guys to get going, to start scoring goals themselves.
Right. Player of the game for you, John. Something we didn't talk about on game night.
Your mind takes you to Eli for scoring the winner. But I really felt that it was a fantastic day for Aiden O'Driscoll, who was not intimidated by Kareem Darbaki and his typical antics that he deploys to intimidate some of the guys he perceives as younger and maybe not necessarily as good as him. But he inserted himself well into the offense as well as the defense. But from an offensive perspective, ultimately producing a great bit of individual play that worked itself into Eli scoring that goal. The goal would not have happened without Aiden. And I thought it was a good cherry on the sundae for his effort on the day.
Yeah, I'd agree with Aiden. I think we noted a few times that he gave as good as he got against Darbaki. He didn't back down. A couple slide tackles, some real physical play. And one thing I remember about Kareem Darbaki when he was playing against Steve one time is he got upset because he got called for a foul against Steve or something like that, or it was kind of a 50-50 situation. They called it against Kareem, and he was all up in the ref's face, saying something like, I'm a grown-ass man, and he's a little boy, kind of a thing. Like, that's just his attitude, right? So he sees these younger guys, and he perceives himself as, Zlatan, basically, like, who can touch me? I'm fucking Kareem Darbaki.
Right.
And Aiden did a good job of containing him and dealing with him and challenging him. I would say honorable mention for me would be Aaron Olson coming on at half, calmly patrolling the back line in what turns out to be a position of choice for him, making a few timely and clutch aerial clearances to take the pressure off of Matt Elder and enable him and the team to maintain that clean sheet.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that we didn't see a full sample size of AO, seeing that he came off the bench and a much needed physical health break for him because he plays a lot of minutes. I didn't choose him because there were some errant passes in some dangerous situations that I thought.
That's fair.
He cleaned those up, which is what you want to see out of a player. So I'll give him credit there. But for me, it was O'Driscoll all the way.
All right. Well, John.
Now it's time for you to talk for a whole bunch of time.
While we were, it's analysis time, baby. While we were calling the game, something very, very interesting happened. We said last week on the show that Med City, who at the time was looking up at the playoffs, they were in third place, would treat this game against Duluth very, very seriously. Because if Duluth beat them, that's it. That was the end. Mm-hmm. Well, they took it about as serious as a heart attack. They put 3 goals up on the conference-leading Duluth defense to win the game 3-1.
That was almost as many goals as Duluth's given up all season.
Yeah, I mean I think they'd given up 4 up till then.
Yeah.
Coupled with our win. That reshuffled the top 3 of the NPSL North yet again. And with only 3 games to play, currently Minneapolis City has the top spot. So as it sits, we are in first place with 22 points, a record of 7-1-1. Med City is in second with 21 points, a record of 6, 0 losses and 3 ties. And Duluth is in third with 20 points, 6 wins, 1 loss, 2 ties. Things could not be tighter moving into the final 3 games of the season.
One thing I'd like to note here, sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's cool.
Is that if you look at the win-loss record, in our landscape of soccer, being that it's a short season, people look at win-loss records, obviously, because it's what makes the table. But when you look at the ability in a short season to be able to convert draws into wins, like Med City has yet to lose, and they're sitting in second place, where we have a loss, and we only have 1 tie, and where Duluth has 2 ties and a loss. Dropping those points when you can pick them up is so crucial.
Just 1 point makes a huge difference.
Right. And having 3 draws versus our 1 loss, it equalizes that, and it gives us not only more points in the table, but also the goal differential, because those draws don't come at a 5-5 or a 4-4. They come at a 1-1 or 2-2.
Yep.
So if we go out and we beat a team 5-0 or 5-1, and they go out and they stay undefeated and they continue to rack up the draws, it's absolutely going to be a dagger for them. They need to convert those.
Good. Yeah. There are a number of scenarios for how the season could be playing out, and quite a few of them see City coming out on top or maybe even second place. We definitely have work to do. And that's what we're going to talk about this segment here. We want to
work,
look ahead for City. The next 3 games for Minneapolis City: at Sioux Falls, at Duluth, and versus Med City to close out the season. Definitely of the top 3 teams, the toughest end of season run. But because our games are against other teams that we're competing against, we control our own destiny. That's actually a benefit. For Med City, their next 3 are versus Dakota, versus TwinStars, at Minneapolis City. Dakota, we've talked about them. They're a dumpster fire, right? And they get Med City gets to welcome Dakota at the tail end of one of the longest trips in the conference, all the way from Fargo to Rochester. So that's just that's a free 3 points probably. TwinStars, they could surprise Med City, but Med City really need to be prepping for the season finale here in Minneapolis. Duluth, John. Duluth has been gifted the biggest cakewalk end of season schedule of the 3, because sandwiched between 2 games against Eris is our fixture against them in Duluth. 2 of their last 3 games are against La Crosse Eris. How did they end up drawing that? That's an amazing schedule. So that's like a free 6 points.
No comment.
Let's talk about how Minneapolis makes the playoffs and even better, how we take the top spot. So we got to assume Duluth is going to earn those 6 points. 26 points becomes the number to beat for Minneapolis City to make the playoffs. The easy answer, of course, is to win out. If we win the last 3 games, nobody's going to catch us. But we do have some leeway. It all has to start with defeating Sioux Falls. We're going to preview that in a second. But for the sake of conversation, let's assume Saturday brings us a victory in Sioux Falls. Then, if we beat Duluth in Duluth, that's it. It's over. We will have 28 points, and Duluth's max on the season will be 26. Med City results may or may not keep Duluth in 3rd. The Med City game here in Minneapolis would well determine Duluth's fate. That would be sweet, sweet. But if we lose in Duluth, then we get 2nd, and Med City wins the conference. We can even lose to Sioux Falls and still finish above Duluth I'm sorry. I don't know what I was talking about if we lose. But anyway, we can even lose to Sioux Falls and still finish above Duluth if we beat Duluth and we beat Med City. So a victory in Duluth would be great and pretty crucial to walking away winning the season. Mm-hmm. If we draw in Duluth, things are going to get trickier, because entering the final game, we will have 26 points to Med City and Duluth's expected season end total of 27 at that point. The Med City game then becomes the 2 of us playing for first place. If we win,
loss?
Huh?
Even with a loss?
With a loss of what?
To Sioux Falls.
No, that's different.
Okay.
If we lose to Sioux Falls and we draw in Duluth, that's it.
Okay.
There's no way we can make those points up. That's why I'm saying most of this stuff is predicated with like defeating Sioux Falls.
Right. Okay.
So if we draw in Duluth, things are going to get tricky. Like I said, the Med City game becomes the 2 of us playing for first place. Because if we win, we would leapfrog Duluth and take the conference with 29 points. So we would have a win versus Sioux Falls, a draw against Duluth, and a win versus Med City. We can still take this conference. If we draw, we pull even with Med City on points at 27, and it would come down to tiebreakers depending on goal differential and whatnot.
I'm looking up goal differential right now.
Yeah, it is. I got it up right now.
So we have 24 goals for and 8 against, where they sit on 22 for and 9 against.
Yep. So 16 goal differential versus 13. The issue is they welcome Dakota.
Come on, Fusion.
So Dakota better turn on the defense.
Yeah, park that megabus.
Yep. So a draw to Duluth after a Sioux Falls victory, it's not the end of the world, but it makes our last game super important. If we lose to Duluth, here we go. This is when it gets bad. If we beat Sioux Falls but go to Duluth and lose, they will win the conference. And we will be playing for 2nd place against Med City, because we will need that win to put us at 28 points, 1 ahead of Med City's expected 27-point finish. So
okay. So what I'm hearing is that not only do we control our own destiny, but any help, if you're listening out there, any help that these other teams could provide us would be fantastic.
Yeah, if the TwinStars wanna hook us up with a tip by taking a point or 3, that'd be great.
I'd take those guys out for a beer if they took down one of those.
Absolutely.
They took down Med City.
Yeah. Buy a round for Sadie, Lozano, and Darbaki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On me, guys.
So while we're definitely faced with a difficult path, John, Minneapolis City is still in a strong position to make the playoffs. Of course, as I mentioned, it all hinges on a victory this weekend in Sioux Falls. So let's get to that preview right now.
All right. So there's been a clear line drawn in the North Conference table that dictates kind of who is in the hunt and who is not. And the teams that fall into that not category are ones that can go one of two ways, Nate. They can keep fighting for pride and listen to what I just said and perhaps be a spoiler, or they can waste away into the end of the summer with guys leaving the club early or staying and not really giving a shit.
Mm-hmm.
So the Thunder, they're an interesting club. They currently sit at 1 win, 6 losses, and 2 draws with 11 goals for and 19 against. So they're not getting blown out of games, and they are putting up a fight. So sitting at the bottom half of the table and seeming to be one that is going to maybe stick it out and fight till the bitter end. The hopes for the team were very high in the beginning of the year, and I thought they fought hard in the beginning of the season, picking up a win as most teams do in lacrosse, outside of Dakota Fusion, who lost. It makes me laugh. Sorry. So outside of Dakota Fusion, who seem to can't beat lacrosse, they've never really been blown out of games, like I mentioned, like the rest of the bottom half have. But then they go out and they play Duluth at home in Sioux Falls to a 1-0 match that they owned outside of an unexpected, who knows what the fuck that guy was doing, own goal.
We talked about this before. It's like
Right.
Duluth was gifted 2 own goals on the season that gave them 4 total points.
Yes. So then they go and they play Med City and they tie them 2-2 away on the back of 2 really great goals.
Yeah.
So the real question to you, Nate, is who turns up on Saturday?
Yeah. I mean, Sioux Falls, they don't really feel like the team that's going to fold. I brought it up a little bit ago that, like, if their guys show up, the real guys, Bryce Holiday being one of them, who's the other guy that Nigel, but some of these guys, like, game in and game out, especially even against Minneapolis City, there are some threatening players, and if they can put it all together, it works for them. So they don't feel like a team that's going to fold. Their motives on the season, their motives as an organization feel more on this developmental side, right? They're trying to get their guys to grow throughout the season, and they're truly believe in that. So I think they'll see this game as an opportunity, and I mean the game against us, as an opportunity to prove against what could be a potentially less senior Minneapolis City side, if history is any lesson, that they may have made some strides in 2019 if they can, steal a point or 2 from us, point or 3 from us.
I think outside of their record, they have been there. It's been some bright spots for them in 2019. So obviously we can't take them lightly, but this match in the past has been one that's usually taken place in the beginning of the season where we travel to Sioux Falls, and it's posed a problem for City, being that we usually had low numbers at that point with guys coming back from school, and it being, one of the only overnight road trips of the summer, and guys have other things going on. And the Thunder has taken advantage of that, playing City really hard and causing us fits. So I see this as really another late trap game for us. We talked about last week's game being a trap game for us. 2 years ago, I know this because I had to coach the team. We played them around the same time. They were basically in a similar area of the table. We were fighting for a playoff spot, and basically they, outside of a Miles Stockman-Willis hat trick that paced the day, we weren't in control of that game. They had was his name Steve Perry, what was it? I forget what the guy's name was. Remember, he's like the player coach for a while.
Oh yeah, and he was the 40-year-old keeper.
No, he wasn't the 40-year-old keeper, but he was like a 40-year-old field player.
Oh wow.
And I believe his name was Steve Perry. It was something mid to early 80s, band member,
sure,
lead singer. But anyways, so outside of him having to track Milestone and Willis in the first half, they made adjustments and they made it interesting. But I don't see this being an easy road trip to go into, and especially with the table topping clashes with Duluth and Med City coming on the back of that. And they've recently gotten great play from their role players and some familiar names, like you mentioned, Bryce Holiday, who didn't make the trip here, Lucas Trimble, who I thought was dangerous all day when he came to Edor Nelson.
Yep.
If City can weather the proposed heat and shake off any tired legs from the trip that you would expect, this is a win. But seeing that Sioux Falls has been, what they've done recently, they're not the team that can be taken lightly. And an early goal or two in the first half could really take the wind out of their sails and keep the Crows on the top of the table. But it's all predicated, Nate, on who shows up for them and how much they really want to play for it.
Word. So what are your keys to this game, John?
All right. I've been hitting on a pretty good rate of these,
yeah.
I believe. So number one, play as a unit. So in any game where the heat index will be right around 90 at kickoff at 7:00, which is hot for an evening game, what it takes to overcome that is 10 men playing two-way shifts together. And what I mean by that is don't get stretched out and stay disconnected from the rest of your friends. So it'll really take a total team effort to work together. And what that does is it causes the dangerous counterattacks that Sioux Falls has shown to do in the past to be non-existent. Because if we're attacking and defending as a unit, all those long balls that they tend to deploy to release their attackers will be all for naught, because we'll be behind the ball ready for that and then collected and moved together in the offensive third as one.
Sure.
So if we get stretched, it could be a foot race, and what happens in those, and it could cause a goalkeeper to be less connected to what's happening. Bryce Holiday scored like a 35-yard goal against us last year. And all those things don't happen if you have enough guys behind the ball, is basically what I'm saying.
Sure. Okay.
So number two is 3 points makes things easy. 1 point does not. You just went through a whole scenario.
A lot of scenarios.
I'm glad you do that, because I'm not the half of this relationship that would ever make that happen. So basically what I took away from what you said is 5 points wins the league. A minimum of 5 points wins the league for you. And it starts at this game. If we can take all three, we'll need to only really tie Duluth the following week to shore up a for sure playoff berth. If we do not take all three, there's a chance that, we have to then win out in two difficult games to make the playoffs. And it's just a much harder road to take. We don't want to do that.
No.
And then lastly, it's stay healthy. This is just going to be like my boilerplate end cap for the next 3 games. We have to have everybody ready to go and healthy and off the trainer's table to make sure that we're securing maybe a league title, but at least a playoff berth, and try to maybe get that regional title that Duluth had last year. And I've been told that if we win out, so say we get 9 points out of the next 3 games, we will actually be in a position to host the regional playoffs.
Wow, because whatever's going on over in Michigan is heading in our favor.
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily heading in our favor, but the very, I'm not gonna say stupid, but I just did. But the weird tiebreaker rules on how that works is we could be in a position to be the host that has to potentially maybe turn down the bid, where we would obviously take it so we wouldn't have to travel.
Yeah.
So and then not to mention even the revenue that's generated from other teams coming into play at our home would be great for the club financially. So if we could take those 9 points, Nate, and because we have a bunch of healthy guys ready to go, that would be huge for us come playoff time.
It's top 2 from each of the 3 conferences in our region.
Correct.
So wow.
But there is a play-in game the week before the regional playoffs for the second place finishers out of the other divisions. So right now, if we were the second place to come out of it, we would probably be, let me look at the table here. We would probably be fighting with Grand Rapids out of the Great Lakes to host, or Cleveland SC, but we have far more points than them already. I mean, we're on 22 right now. They've all either finished their season or have one or two games to play. So the most they could probably take out of that is 6 points, which would put them at 21. So we've already taken away from the East Conference. But if Grand Rapids, they look to have one game in hand, and they're on 19 points. But then the goal differential comes into play where they're at +8 and we are at +16, depending on what happens at the end of the season. So it would look to be that we would probably host a playoff game if we don't host the regionals and get the bye right into there like we did last year.
That'd be cool.
So yeah, there's my math, folks.
So Sioux Falls typically has a less than ideal stream set up on my Kuju, so keep an eye out for what that looks like come game time. If you're not happy with it, you can also follow along on the City Matchday Twitter feed. Of course, you're probably not making the trip, but if you are, kudos. That'd be amazing. You're great fans.
I'll be there.
Kickoff is Saturday night, 7 p.m. We need these 3 points.
Absolutely. So that is all for the show tonight, folks. Thanks to our sponsor, Summit Brewing. It's summertime, if you haven't noticed, because it's getting hot as hell out. And the weather has finally caught up, which means it's summer ale time. This by far is my favorite offering from Summit. I've said it multiple times before, and it's perfect for a nice warm day of watching soccer and forgetting about life for a little while. Get your local watering hole and get some on tap today, or mosey on down to your local liquor store and pick up a 12-er, and you will be much better for doing so. Summit, a more meaningful brew since 1986. If giving back to the community means a lot to you, well, maybe it's time to give back to the club that loves to give back. Minneapolis City is a 501c3 that provides a safe, reliable, and fun environment for young people to play the beautiful game. Look for us this summer out playing with kids in parks and community centers around the city, and consider a tax-deductible donation to a truly city-focused organization. I believe Will Kidd was out at his old alma mater, Como Park High School.
That's very cool.
Yeah, playing with some kids and talking about his experience of going on to college and playing with Minneapolis City, so that's always great. Hey, city games are a blast. It's plain and simple. So if you have been hitting up city games and you like what you see, but you are not a member, what is the holdup? It's still not all for naught if you haven't gotten your memberships, because they have been discounted. And to do so, to become a season ticket holder, $40 gets you the ability to support a club and get some really cool stuff in return. You get a season pass to every city home game. We have a couple more coming up that are non-conference as well. Maybe some potential playoff games. We don't know yet. You get your exclusive membership scarf, 2 flex tickets to share with your friends, and a membership card that gets you 10% off at the club shop and deals on Summit at our official game day bar, Palmer's. Plus, you get to vote on important club matters, including selecting the membership board and choosing scarf and kit designs. Visit mplscitysc.com and make it happen. The stands have been packed to the gills, so this year, better than any, get that season ticket to guarantee your entry into a city game. Send us mail. It's easy. Hit us up on Twitter at The People's Pitch, or through email at mcscpodcast@gmail.com. All questions, comments, and concerns are welcome. And finally, you can always complain to the club at mplscitysc. Again, that is all for this week, folks. I am John, and that was Nate, and it is going to be a hot one this weekend, and City has moved itself into a true control-your-own-path scenario. So let's keep those positive vibes going, and let's get 9 points, and let's host those playoffs. And you got hoofed.
Poster burning maple weeds, cradle major keys. Thinking back, I've been major since the minor league. So supreme, too much sauce off my olive NMDs. I could staple steez, bend the goat so I get the cheese. Never